Chapter 2. So do you think it was the same guy? Trish persisted. She watched as Nita sorted an armload of sweaters and wished for the 100th time that she could have found a job in a clothing store like this one. I don't know, it sounds like it could be. Nita shook her head and chuckled. How totally weird. You just never know these days who's going to be behind a newspaper. It's not funny, Nita. He was really creepy. Trish frowned and glanced at her watch. If you're going to eat dinner with me, then come on. I don't have all night. Bethany's watching me like a hawk. Don't you just love this new display I did? Nita steered her toward a counter, beaming proudly. All these old-fashioned paperweights with these wonderful patterns all over them. Don't you think they go with these new scarves? Well, Trish said doubtfully, I guess. Well, I mean, they don't match exactly, Nita said, sounding indignant. It's, art. I think it's nice, Trish said quickly. Now can we go eat? We have to get Imogen first, Nita reminded her. If we can tear her away from her stupid bookstore. I think she's the only one in the whole universe who actually eats, sleeps, and breathes her work. Imogen likes everything, Trish reminded her, smiling fondly. Imogen and Nita were twins, but no one would ever have guessed it. Nita had a tall, willowy dancer's frame and a classical sort of beauty, while Imogen was straight and prim, with mousy brown hair and glasses that looked too big for her face. The three of them had been inseparable since 4th grade, doing everything together. And now, as seniors in high school, they were still the very best of friends. While the eatery was located in the center section of the mall on the main floor, the latest trend, where Nita worked, was on the 2nd level, with Imogen working directly opposite in the bookstore. Now, while Nita finished up with her sweaters, Trish walked to the entrance and waved as Imogen wandered out of the bookstore with her nose in a magazine. Hi, Trish greeted her as they sat down together on a bench to wait for Nita. Hi, yourself. Imogen always reminded Trish of a little wise old owl woman with her round glasses and her equally round stare. There's more to this mall than meets the eye. Trish looked startled. Why do you say that? I have a theory, Imogen began, then looked up as Nita stopped beside them with a groan. You always have a theory about something. And right now, I can't take a single one of your theories on an empty stomach. Mexican, Trish suggested. Their favorite fast food was located at the farthest end of the eatery and the farthest away from Bethany's watchful eye. It's the spice of life. Imogen shrugged, falling into step behind them. It's the only spice in your life, Nita threw back. Honestly, Imogen, I'm so glad we're not identical. But you're still not taking me seriously, Trish broke in, referring back to their conversation at the store. That guy, I'm telling you, he was really strange. What guy? Imogen asked. Oh, some weirdo hitting on Trish and her muffins, Nita chuckled. Look, there are lots of crazies at this mall. She waved her hand airily, indicating the crowds around them. They're harmless. I mean, This place is full of people. Nobody's going to try anything weird with all these other people around. That's not necessarily so, Imogen spoke up. Actually, it's the perfect place for someone to try something weird. One could easily get lost in the masses. You go, Nita shoved her good-naturedly. You go get lost in the masses, please. Imogen ignored her. She stared solemnly at Trish, who looked back with a tolerant smile as the girl continued. There's always something going on at a mall, you know, and especially this mall. Okay, Nita sighed. You don't have to go on sounding so mysterious. You've hooked my curiosity. Why especially this mall? Well, surely you can see for yourself. This mall is not like other malls, Imogen said matter-of-factly, because it's the oldest mall in the whole state. Nita tried to keep a straight face. Because it's the oldest mall to survive extinction and come out of the Dark Ages. It's been renovated at least 15 times over the years, Imogen went on, undaunted. It's been built over time and time again without any real architectural pattern or design. It is a mess, Trish agreed, looking around as they walked. But that's what I like about it. I think that's what everyone likes about this old place. It's got a kind of charm that no other mall has. None of the new ones, anyway. Macabre charm, Imogen clarified. I'd be willing to bet there are so many tunnels and hallways and passages built on and added to over the years. There's probably no one still living who knows about all of them. Ooh, Nita shuddered deliciously. I like it. I don't, Trish frowned. And why did you have to bring all that up anyway, Imogen? Because I've been hearing the rumors again, Imogen said stubbornly. What rumors? Trish asked. If you mean about what happened at my store last night, Nita began. But Imogen cut her off. I mean the shoplifting. This time Nita and Trish echoed together. Shoplifting. Imogen nodded. Things are disappearing all over the mall. Nita burst into laughter. Come on, Imogen. Things are always being shoplifted around here. You call that news? Tell me something really juicy. But that's not the point, Imogen went on calmly. Okay, Trish conceded. What is the point? The point is that none of the alarm systems are going off. Those dinky little alarm systems aren't worth anything. And you know it, Nita chuckled. I bet we lose hundreds of dollars of stuff every month, just in our little place. No, Imogen continued. Even the new systems, the more sophisticated systems they've tried out in the department stores, they're not catching these things being stolen. Well, what really makes me mad is that someone out there is ripping off all these wonderful clothes, and I have to pay for the ones I want. Nita rolled her eyes. Not just clothing, Imogen informed her. Lots of other things, like kitchen equipment, for example. What kind of kitchen equipment? Trish glanced at her. Dishes, gourmet foodstuffs, even bottles of wine and ice picks. Someone's throwing a hell of a party, Nita chuckled. Wish they'd invite me. Linens, Imogen went on calmly. Pillows, blankets, perfumes, even furniture. Furniture, Trish laughed. How can anyone sneak out a piece of furniture? And books, Imogen sounded indignant. From my bookstore. So, Nita sighed. What are you saying? I have a theory. I have hunger pains. Nita threw up her hands. Enough already. Give me some money, Imogen. I left my purse in the store. How convenient. Trish gave Nita a reproachful look as Imogen obligingly dug into her bag and handed her sister some bills. Well, at least she's good for something. Nita grinned shamelessly and led the way to an empty table. While Nita and Imogen went off to get the food, Trish sat and saved their places, letting her eyes wander idly around the busy eatery. There was every kind of meal for sale here, from junk food to health food, from pastry to salad bars to ethnic temptations. And the huge area was always filled with people, always noisy with conversation and laughter and the rattle and clatter of dishes. As Trish's gaze swept over each food stand, it finally came to rest on Pizza Park, and she saw Storm Reynolds leaning lazily across the counter, waiting on a customer. She could watch him now, could look at him from this distance without worrying that he saw her. He was writing down an order and laughing, and from time to time he stopped to point at the wall behind him where the menu was posted. As Trish recalled his wink at her earlier, a shy smile came to her lips, but then it quickly faded as another face replaced Storm's in her mind. With a quick intake of breath, she stiffened in her chair and redirected her stare across the eatery again, seeking out long ash-gray hair and dark glasses. He could still be here, sitting anywhere, watching anywhere. But he's not, she said out loud to herself, and she grabbed the seat of her chair with both hands, trying to get a grip on her fears. He's not anywhere. He was just some weirdo who was hanging around the mall. But now he's gone, and you're never going to see him again. You're talking to yourself. Nita's voice sounded so close beside her that Trish jumped. You're getting more and more like Imogen every day. As Trish took the tray her friend handed her, Nita glanced around slyly. I bet I know what you were dreaming about, who you were dreaming about. Her face grew dreamy, and she nodded toward Pizza Park. Don't be ridiculous, Trish sighed. He's probably got 10 dozen girlfriends, but he winked at you, which proves he's just a huge flirt. A flirt and probably fickle. A flirt and fickle and not to be trusted. A man, Imogen clarified soberly, and Nita looked amused. Oh, listen to Imogen, the expert, she teased. Okay then, let's pick someone out for Imogen, Trish. Someone in the eatery. Who should it be? Imogen looked more bored than annoyed. Don't you have anything more intelligent to do? Look, there he is. Nita grabbed Trish's sleeve and shook it excitedly. There he is, Imogen's guy, the man of her dreams. As Trish followed the point of Nita's finger, she saw a young man standing at one of the trash cans, dumping in food scraps from a pile of dirty trays. Oh, stop it, Nita, Trish began, but Nita broke in again. Look at him, Trish, he's just her type. 5 foot, what, 10? or maybe 6 whole feet if he stood up straight. Long hair combed back, or is it greased back? Jeans with holes, oh, sorry, maybe he's trying to be stylish. And a t-shirt with something. Nita squinted her eyes, trying to see. Something written on the front. Wait a minute, yes, okay. Now we know he loves rock music. And the sexiest combat boots, don't you think so, Trish? Oh, and that denim jacket, with the sleeves cut off. The absolutely perfect touch. Trish took a bite of her taco and glanced over at Imogen. I think his name is Wyatt. I always see him working around here, but I don't really know anything about him. He kind of keeps to himself. Wyatt, Nita crooned. The absolutely perfect name. Actually, Imogen said stiffly, I think he's rather nice looking. Nita's mouth fell open. Trish burst into laughter. So there you are, Nita. You're a better matchmaker than you thought. They kept watching as Wyatt scraped the last of his trays, picked up the whole stack, then started past their table. Trish glanced at Nita and saw the impish look on her face. But before Trish could say a word, Nita shoved her chair back, ramming Wyatt in the stomach. There was a resounding crash as the trays bounced all over the floor, and people in the food stands began to cheer. Oh my gosh, Nita exclaimed, looking up wide-eyed at Wyatt. Where did you come from? Imogen put her head down on her arms and groaned. Trish scooted her chair back, trying to decide whether to help or just die of embarrassment. I'm so sorry I hit you, Nita insisted. She reached out toward Wyatt's midsection, hesitated, then pressed her hand lightly against the front of his shirt. I really didn't notice you there. Wyatt stared at her. He gazed down at the mess on the floor. He looked back at Nita again, his face bland. Yeah, it's so hard to see me with all this stuff I'm carrying. Calmly, he took hold of her hand and pushed it away. Trish started to laugh, but caught herself in time. She glanced quickly at Nita and saw the girl's mouth open in surprise. Well, I said I was sorry. Nita tried to recover herself, lowering her long lashes in her most heart-melting way. Wyatt didn't seem to notice. I'm Nita, she added, almost desperately. And this is my friend Trish. And this is my sister Imogen. She broke off, amazed, as Wyatt walked off, leaving the trays scattered around their table. Trish and Imogen stared, open-mouthed. Then both of them burst into fits of laughter. Well, I don't know what you two are getting so hysterical about, Nita said indignantly. I thought that was very rude of him. Oh, Trish nodded. And you crippling the poor guy, nothing rude there. Well, he didn't have to be like that. Nita pouted. She stared at Wyatt's retreating back, then rested her chin in her hands. He's a challenge, all right. Did I miss something here? Trish laughed again. Weren't you trying to grab him for Imogen? Forget it, Imogen said matter-of-factly. He made the mistake of ignoring her. Now the poor guy doesn't know what he's in for. Well, really? Nita sat up straighter, frowning. How hard could this turn out to be? I mean, well, look at him. I did. Trish stood and gathered up the remains of her dinner to throw away. He looked pretty cute to me. And intelligent, Imogen added, straight-faced. That thing, Nita yelped. Him. Excuse me, but I think you must have him mixed up with somebody else. Like someone with a brain, maybe. That was terrible of you, Trish scolded, dumping her trash in the litter can. You deserved just what you got. I don't feel sorry for you one bit. Well, all I was trying to do was get Imogen a date. Nita defended herself. I mean, nobody's going to ask her out if she just sits there with her face on the table. She tossed her tray on top of the can and gave Imogen a patronizing look. Imogen, you've just got to get yourself some kind of life or something. Well, really, right now what I've got to do is get back to work, Imogen sighed and got up. And thank you, Nita, for the entertainment. As Trish started back to the muffin stand, she couldn't resist one last glance toward Pizza Park. She could see Storm talking to a sullen Wyatt and laughing uproariously, and she chuckled to herself, guessing that he'd watched the whole scene. You've got a message, Bethany greeted her crossly as Trish got back to work. And from now on, when I say dinner is half an hour, that doesn't mean 3 minutes after. Trish nodded mutely, puzzled about what might be waiting for her, and was surprised when Bethany handed her a piece of paper. What is it? She asked. But Bethany was already disappearing into the back room. I don't know. Something about your car. Somebody hit it or something. Hit it in the parking lot. Trish's heart sank. Well, what should I do? He said for you to go take a look at it, Bethany grumbled. He has to make out a report or something. Trish unfolded the scrap of paper and saw a curt message scrawled there. It noted the make and model of her car and instructed her to notify the security office after checking out the damage. Irritated, she grabbed her jacket and hurried through the mall to the north exit. Employee parking was in the farthest lot from the building, and she didn't relish the idea of walking all that way in the cold, then having to come all the way back again. Just my luck, she muttered, starting her trek across the huge parking area. I just get that stupid car out of the shop, and someone mangles it. She walked briskly, hugging herself against the cold, glancing up from time to time at the round October moon glowing behind wispy clouds. Even though the parking lots were dotted with street lamps, less than half of them ever worked, and she'd made it a practice to always carry a pocket flashlight in her coat. It took nearly 5 minutes to reach the employee lot. She remembered she'd found a spot near a pay phone that afternoon. And as she finally spotted her old Mustang, she began to run, already fumbling in her pockets for her light. To her surprise, there didn't seem to be anything wrong with the car at all. Stopping a few feet away, Trish surveyed it carefully, letting her eyes wander over every inch of the outside, searching for some sign of damage. The car looked fine, just as she'd left it that afternoon when she came to work. Puzzled, she walked slowly all around it, playing her flashlight over the hood, the sides, the trunk, the tires, then came back to her original spot, shaking her head. There must be some mistake. It must have been someone else's car. They got the license plates mixed up somehow. More annoyed now than bewildered, Trish backed away from the car and turned to go. And when the pay phone suddenly rang, shattering the darkness with its shrill scream, she froze there, watching it with her mouth open, unable to believe what she was hearing. The phone rang and rang. Trish stood there, staring, the cold seeping through her jacket, through her skin, deep, deep into her veins. It must be for somebody who's supposed to be here right now at this exact moment. Only they're not here, and it might be important. And whoever is calling will just keep waiting and waiting, and nobody might ever come. Trish walked over to the phone. She reached out and took the receiver, lifting it slowly to her ear. "Hello, Trish," the voice said. It was a whisper, soft and familiar, yet strangely unreal. It sounded like dark reflections and ash-gray shadows. "I'm eating the muffin," he said. "It tastes just like you."